So we're so happy to introduce to you another brand new accessory specifically for iPad Pro. It looks like this. It's called Apple Pencil.
The Apple Pencil first generation, first announced in September 2015 and released to the public in November 2015. The Apple Pencil USB-C, first announced in October 2023 and released to the public in November 2023. Before we jump into this, if you haven't seen this video right here, this one does a basic overview of all three Apple Pencils and which one works best in my opinion. But the video you're currently watching right now does just the Apple Pencil USB-C and Apple Pencil first generation. And we're using the iPad 10th generation to demo this, as of filming, it's the only model to support both Apple Pencils. And let's begin with charging and pairing. Alright, the first thing we need to charge and pair the first generation Apple Pencil is a Type-C to Lightning charging cable like this one right here. And then we need this double-sided female and Lightning adapter. And of course, the first generation Apple Pencil. And this isn't the only way you can charge and pair your Apple Pencil, as it also came with an adapter that lets you use a Type-C to Type-C cable as well. But either way, this whole system isn't too pretty, where you have to connect 3 points in order to both charge and pair your Apple Pencil. And on top of that, with the first gen Apple Pencil, you also have your cap that you can just lose like that. Next up for charging and pairing is the Apple Pencil USB-C. First off, with our cap, instead of it being able to just pop off and get lost, this one just pops open and stays attached, which is actually a benefit. But it still doesn't change the fact that you need an external cable to both charge and pair your Apple Pencil to your iPad. In the end, it is a pretty similar system where you have to have a cable attached to both charge and pair, but the benefit is we don't have to have an adapter for it to connect, which means one less piece to lose. When it comes to charging and pairing, I'd have to give the point to the USB-C Apple Pencil, as it fixes two flaws where you could lose your cap when you have to recharge, and we don't need an adapter in order to connect it to the iPad. Next, we'll be looking at their overall functionality. We're going to be looking at the pressure sensitivity feature, as if you look at this chart on Apple's website, it's the only thing that the USB-C Apple Pencil lacks that the first generation Apple Pencil has. We'll go ahead and launch notes and start drawing some lines to demonstrate what it's capable of. When it comes to drawing with the first generation Apple Pencil, the only way you can get a thicker line is by pressing harder on the screen, which is the pressure sensitivity feature. No matter how fast or slow you draw with the pencil, your line will stay the same size. Next, if we start drawing with the USB-C Apple Pencil, no matter how fast or slow you draw, your line will stay the same size, but if you press on the screen, your lines will also stay the same size. When it comes to the drawing functionality, I'd give the point to the first generation Apple Pencil, as with pressure sensitivity, it can allow you to change the size of your line as you're drawing, which can give your art a little more detail. For the next thing, we can go ahead and get the iPad out of the way, as the next thing we're looking at is the overall build quality of the two Apple Pencils. When we look at the Apple Pencil first generation, it has more of a polished finish, which is a little more slippery to hold in my opinion. And it can also just get a little more scratched up over the years as you use it, which can cause it to not look so attractive later on down the road. And if we look at the USB-C Apple Pencil, it has more of a matte finish, which is a lot less slippery to hold in my opinion. And if you get a few scratches on it later on down the road, it's not as noticeable, as it would blend in with the pencil a little better. Therefore, when it comes to the build quality between the two Apple Pencils, I'd have to give the point to the USB-C Apple Pencil. Next, if we head over to Apple's website and look at the pricing between the two Apple Pencils, the first generation Apple Pencil does cost $99, whereas the USB-C Apple Pencil only costs $79. Therefore, in pricing, when it comes to affordability, the point would go to the USB-C Apple Pencil, as it is slightly cheaper. And finally, what does it look like in the way of future accessory support? The Apple Pencil first generation was originally designed to only work with the iPad Pro back in 2015, and is not even supported by today's flagship iPad Pros. And the USB-C Apple Pencil is compatible with all current flagship iPads, being the iPad 10th generation, the iPad mini, the iPad Air, and the iPad Pro. And if we go off of how long the first generation Apple Pencil has stuck around, it's probably safe to say that you'll get an additional 5 years of support out of the USB-C Apple Pencil if you were to buy one now in late 2023 or early 2024. And when it comes to future accessory support, the point would have to go to the USB-C Apple Pencil, especially considering the fact that the first generation Apple Pencil has now been around for 8 years, and it's actually kind of surprising that it's still supported to this day. And if we go ahead and tally up the points, the Apple Pencil first generation did only get 1 point, and that was with its actual functionality when it comes to drawing. Whereas the USB-C Apple Pencil did get the points in the other categories, being its build quality, its overall design, charging and pairing, and future support. Therefore, when it comes to buying an Apple Pencil for the iPad 10th generation, I would highly just suggest an Apple Pencil USB-C for most people. Before some of you start freaking out, I know what I said in my previous video, that I would just go with the first generation Apple Pencil for the iPad 10th generation. If you're using a iPad 10th generation, I would highly suggest a Apple Pencil first generation instead. But this is after the dust has settled and I've had a little more time to look over the two Apple Pencils. And after doing so, I am changing my opinion on that, and I'm thinking the USB-C Apple Pencil works best with the iPad 10th generation overall. But when it comes to the iPad mini, the iPad Air, or the iPad Pro, I would still suggest an Apple Pencil second generation for those ones, as the Apple Pencil second generation is still much better over the USB-C Apple Pencil. And the final thing to keep in mind overall is the iPad 10th generation isn't exactly an iPad that Pro users would be using. Therefore, it's highly unlikely that whoever's using that iPad would need the pressure sensitivity on the first generation Apple Pencil. And with that, that concludes my opinion on the two Apple Pencils. And let me know in the comments if you want to see a comparison between the USB-C Apple Pencil and the second generation Apple Pencil. And let me know if there's any specific video you want to see, like if it's repairing a specific Apple product or unboxing a certain one. I'll be signing off here, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.